3 teams, 3 VAR decisions, and 1 team that keeps surviving them. Egypt had a goal erased by a foul buried 20 seconds deep in the play. Senegal, 2-0 up and 85 minutes from a famous win, lost on a penalty that took 7 rounds, the longest VAR review of this entire tournament. And Switzerland, level with the world champions in a quarterfinal, had their striker sent off for diving, on a review that their own coach said destroyed the game. Every one of those calls went the same direction. 2 of them went in Argentina's favor. That is not a conspiracy. Let me say that clearly before we go a step further, because this channel does not deal in fantasy. But it is a pattern, and it is now spiraling so badly that the referees are being suspended. Coaches are demanding explanations from FIFA in public, and the European Parliament is investigating the president of world football. So let's go through it in full. 3 matches, 3 decisions, 1 system that is failing in front of the entire planet. Let's look at what actually happened, whether the calls were wrong, and why FIFA has lost the right to be believed even when it gets things right. Start with Senegal, because Senegal is the one that still doesn't feel real. Round of 32, Seattle, the 1st of July. Senegal against Belgium. Habib Diarra scored in the 25th minute. Ismail Assar made it 2-0 in the 51st. For 85 minutes, the Lions of Teranga were not just winning, they were dominating. A European giant on the brink of humiliation, an African side 1 whistle away from the last 16. Then Belgium scored twice in 3 minutes. Romelu Lukaku in the 86th, Youri Tielemans with a header in the 89th. Extra time, and in the 120th minute, with a shootout looming, Tielemans went down under a challenge from Lamine Camara. The Honduran referee, Said Martinez, gave nothing. In real time, he saw it and waved play on. And then VAR called him to the monitor. What followed was 7 minutes. 7. From the moment the review began to the moment the penalty was struck. Senegal's players surrounded the screen. One of them lay down on the penalty spot. And when Martinez finally pointed to the spot, Tielemans buried it in the 125th minute. The latest goal ever scored in the history of the Men's World Cup. Senegal were out. Here is what the pundits said, and this is the part that matters. That it was the longest VAR had looked at any incident in this entire World Cup. That the longer the VAR looked, the more he was simply re-refereeing the game. That the referee took so long at the screen he clearly wasn't sure. And that in the end, they stumbled onto a decision that was 50-50. Read that back slowly. A team's World Cup ended on a 50-50 that the referee, watching it live, did not think was a foul at all. Now, Egypt. The 7th of July, Atlanta, round of 16. Egypt 2-0 up against the defending champions. Messi had already missed a penalty. And then Mostafa Zico finished a counterattack that would have made it 3, that would have ended Argentina's title defense on the spot. VAR went back more than 20 seconds into the move, found a foul on Lisandro Martinez in the build-up, and the French referee François Letexier wiped the goal off the board. The boldest reach-back of the tournament. Former Premier League referee Graham Scott told The Athletic the intervention should never have happened. The technology was never meant to wind 20 seconds back for a soft challenge at the other end of the pitch. Argentina scored 3 times in 11 minutes and won 3-2. Egypt's coach Hossam Hassan asked the question out loud. Perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running? Egypt filed a formal complaint with FIFA. And now Switzerland, the quarterfinal. Kansas City, Argentina again. Alexis Mac Allister put Argentina ahead early. Switzerland, a country in their first World Cup quarterfinal since 1954, refused to fold. Dan Ndoye equalized in the 67th minute, 1-1 against the world champions, and the momentum was Swiss. 5 minutes later, it was over. Leandro Paredes was shown a yellow card for a tackle on Breel Embolo. Then VAR intervened, using the mistaken identity protocol, and determined that Embolo had again begun falling before Paredes made contact. Simulation. And because Embolo was already on a yellow, the second card was red. Switzerland played the rest of the quarterfinal, including extra time, with 10 men. Julian Alvarez struck from range in the 112th. Lautaro Martinez added a third. 3-1. Understand the mechanism here, because it is genuinely extraordinary. If the referee had simply let play continue, if he had never booked Paredes at all, VAR would have had no route in. Embolo stays on the pitch. Switzerland play 11 against 11. The entire dismissal only became possible because the referee first made a decision that Switzerland's coach believes was itself wrong. Murat Yakin did not hide it. He said his side were dominating, controlling the match, and then were punished by a rule he called unacceptable. He said they protect their referee over a rule that destroyed our game. He said, and this is the line that will follow this tournament: "My boys are the real heroes." Remo Freuler demanded an explanation from FIFA. Defender Nico Elvedi simply said he did not understand how VAR could make that kind of decision. And Embolo became only the fourth player in 60 years of World Cup football to be sent off for a second yellow for simulation. Now here's where it gets bigger than 3 matches. Because none of these decisions, taken alone, is proof of anything. Taken alone, each one has a defense. That is exactly the problem. Think about what connects them. The Senegal penalty was subjective. The Egypt goal was a judgment about a foul. The Embolo red was an interpretation of intent. Not one of them was a factual, measurable call like offside, where a line either crosses or it doesn't. Every single one of them was a human being, at a screen, deciding what he thought he saw. And every single one of them landed on the side of the bigger team, the champion, the favorite. And this is happening to a governing body that has already destroyed its own credibility this month. FIFA bent its rulebook mid-tournament for one player after a phone call from the President of the United States. 50 members of the European Parliament are now demanding an ethics investigation into Gianni Infantino, calling that decision a perversion of justice. When FIFA blamed a technical outage for failing to show the offside graphic in Qatar against Switzerland, nobody believed them. Gary Neville called the organization a dictatorship. When Senegal went out, one referee was already at the center of an earlier VAR row. When France beat Morocco, there was a row over an all-Argentine officiating crew. Now let me be fair for a second, because the honest verdict here is more uncomfortable than the conspiracy. Under the letter of the law, most of these calls survive scrutiny. Camara did kick the back of Tielemans' leg without touching the ball. As a defender, you take that risk. Egypt's build-up foul was a foul, and Embolo, watch it again, does start going down early. FIFA did not steal these games. Argentina did not need a referee to beat Switzerland. They had the ball, the depth, the Alvarez strike, the champion's nerve. Belgium did come back from 2-0 down through Lukaku and Tielemans, with no help from anyone. So the scandal is not that the games were rigged, there's no evidence for that, and saying it cheapens what these teams actually achieved. The scandal is worse and quieter than that. It's the inconsistency. It's a system precise enough to erase a goal for a millimeter while leaving the calls that actually decide World Cups, the fouls, the dives, the penalties, entirely to a man's gut feeling at a monitor. It's a bar for a foul that is set high all tournament and then, at the very worst possible moment, in the 120th minute of a knockout tie, silently changes. Think about what that means for the people on the receiving end. Senegal were 85 minutes from the round of 16. Egypt led the world champions twice, with a 35-year-old Salah playing what may be his last great World Cup night. Switzerland reached their first quarterfinal in 72 years and were level with the co-coders when the card came out. 3 teams, 3 federations, 3 sets of players who will spend the rest of their lives and believing the tournament was never really theirs to win. And whether or not they are right, the fact that millions of people found that explanation instantly, effortlessly believable, is FIFA's verdict, delivered by its own audience. FIFA did not have to rig anything. It only had to make itself impossible to believe. So here's the question, and I want a real answer from you, not an easy one. Is this 3 separate bad luck nights, subjective calls that could have gone either way, and simply didn't, for teams who weren't quite good enough anyway? Or is VAR now systematically bending toward the giants, the champions, the names that sell the tournament? One of those is football, the other is rot. Argue it out below. Senegal fans, Egypt fans, Swiss fans, Argentina fans, I want to see you take each other on. Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every one. And if you want World Cup coverage that follows every decision back to who benefits, the like and the subscribe help more than you'd think. Some stories end when the final whistle goes. This one is only starting.